if you are watching this right now, you probably lost money. Maybe a lot, maybe more than you told anyone. And the worst part is not the money. It's the worst part is nobody's around you gets it. Your family thinks you're gambling, your friends stop asking, and every time you open your phone, that voice in your head said, maybe they are right. And I know that voice. Not because I hear it now, but because I heard it in 2018 and again in 2022. Twice I said where you sit right now. Twice everything went red, and twice people told me I was crazy. Both times, they were wrong. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. And tonight, I'm going to show you why. Look at this number here. Sorry guys, my computer is freezing. No, it's okay. Look at this number here. Trading Grid Index hit 5 this week. 5 out of 100. The lowest ever recorded. Lower than FTX, imagine. Lower than Terra. Lower than COVID. Right now, it sits around 16, still deep in extreme fear. Maybe lower just because just because of the strike of Israel and Iran. Probably it's lower right now. But here's what fear looks like in real money. Total crypto market went from 4.4 trillion to 2.4 trillion. 2 trillion gone in 4 months. Bitcoin from 126,000 to 59, down around 47%, 50%. Solana from 340 to 85, down 75%. And more than 100,000 Bitcoin dumped by ETF holders since the peak. And Google searches for Bitcoin bear market at the highest since November 2022. How could you not be scared, right? Now let me tell you something nobody else probably will tell you today. You are not weak for being scared. You are not stupid for being here. You are human. And when money goes away, your brain stops. It literally stops thinking and starts surviving. It stops asking, why does the data say it? It starts screaming it out before you lose everything. That panic you feel right now, that is your survival brain. It's a system built for danger, not for markets. And that's exactly when people make the worst decisions of their life. I've been here enough times to know what that feels like. I've made my bad decisions. I sold the bottoms, I bought the tops. That's how I learn. And I've been here enough times to know that the other side exists too. So here's what I will do today. I will not tell you to buy. I will not tell you to hold. I will not tell you anything. As I usually do, it's always your decision. I will show you everything. The ugly first, then what nobody's talking about. And then you decide for yourself. Easy. Right now, and we are live, this is not pre-recorded, drop a number. It's not pre-recorded. I already thought that you will think about this. I'm live streaming, okay? I'm live. This is not pre-recorded, so this is something that I prepared for you today because I know a lot of people is scared, but I want to know in the chat. From 1 to 10, how scared are you? Be honest. Nobody here judge. This is a therapy session. This is a safe place. You can share with us. And again, it's not a pre-recorded, okay? I'm watching the chat. I know someone is telling that 30K soon, etc. I already knew that was going to happen. That's why I need to be careful preparing my shows. But I'm live, okay? I prefer to do live streams than to go pre-recorded. So it will be really hard for me to see a pre-recorded video. Just be aware of that, okay? I already know this is going to happen. So before I show you anything that looks like hope, I need to show you why the fear makes sense. Because I will refuse to be the guy that only hides bad news. I'm not that type of guy. I'm a data guy. I've always said that. I've always said that. And I'm that type of guy. I've always hide behind data. So let's see what you have on the screen right now. This is what I call. Let's see. There's people thinking that I'm pre-recorded. Yeah. Either way, I'll continue. Like I was saying, what you see here is a graveyard. Literally a graveyard. Real projects, real money gone. Step Finance got hacked. Sol on the floor shut down. Remote markets got to zero. Zero Land ran 3 years and could not make it. Polynomial canceled their token. 𝗕𝗟𝗙 had Uniswap and 𝗕𝗟𝗙𝗙 behind them and still died after 5 years. After 5 years, Alpaca Finance closed. 𝗕𝗟𝗙, with 93 millions of user money inside, collapsed. 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗙, Arkham Exchange, closed by Arkham. And Entropy returned the funds and shut down. We are talking about 11 projects dead. Just this cycle. Just this cycle. And it gets worse. Way worse. Axiom Exchange made $400 million in revenue. Then ZachXBT exposed a senior employee using internal tools to track private wallets and front-run trades since early 2025. Not an egg. This was not an egg. This was the insider using your data against you. Axiom said they were shocked. 400 million in revenue, nobody was watching what their own people did with your wallet data. Then we have the Jane Street. Jane Street sits on $2.5 billion in iShares, accused of dumping Bitcoin every day at 10 a.m. Maybe they changed the time after that. Now they are dumping lower. Banned by SEBI India. $560 million frozen. And they are defense in the Terraform lab. And Coinbase, the biggest exchange in America, just reported almost $700 million in loss in Q4. And I show you this because respect means telling you the truth even when it's ugly. Every number on that screen is verified. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to make sure you see it clearly. Data, always. I've sent this a lot of times. I'm always a guy that shows the data and I read the data. But I also know something. I've seen graveyards before. 2018 had one graveyard. 2022 was the biggest one. And both times, the people that only look at the graveyard miss what was building right next to it. If you are in any of these projects, let me know. I know the chat is live. So yeah, I'm here. It's not pre-recorded. It's not pre-recorded. I'm here. I'll go back to the chat later so that you can know that it's not a pre-recorded. Now, look at this. Everyone says that 2026 feels like 2022. Let me show you what 2022 really was. Not the headlines, but the chain reaction. We have 4 dominoes here. You have Terra, Celsius, 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗙, and FTX. And I'm about to replay how they fell one by one in order. Watch this. $40 billion gone with Terra that killed Celsius, $12 billion frozen overnight that killed 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗙, $10 billion in debts they could never pay. And then FTX, the fraud, the stolen funds. Bitcoin went from 69 to 15K. 15,500 to be more precise. That was a minus 77%. And I was here for that. I was here. I watched it happen in real time. And the worst part was not the numbers. It was the silence after that. Nobody had answers. Nobody knew if there was going to be a next time. Crypto was dead. But there was a next time. There is always a next time. And the people who held through that silence are the ones who changed their lives in 2023 and 2024 and even 2025. We cannot forget that some people call 2025 the bear market, people who shall not be named, but we had 4 all-time highs in 2025. Now I want you to show you what's next. And this is the reason why I built this entire show today. And if you leave now, you miss the one thing that makes all of this make sense. Now look at this. Same setup. 4 dominoes. But now they are labeled with what drives the 2026 retail. 2026 retail panic, sorry. Retail panic, the ETF outflows, macro fear, and you are experiencing the macro fear today. And 4-year cycle. This is everything you're seeing today. Every reason people say it's over. Let's watch. You felt that? That moment of surprise. This is the entire point of today. In 2022, the dominoes fell because real companies committed real fraud. Real money was stolen from real people. There were villains, there were criminals. In 2026, where is the stolen money? Where are the companies going bankrupt? There are none. The market is not falling because something broke. It is falling because everyone is afraid something will break. Like many of you are here today, saying that everything will break because of what's happening in Iran and US and Israel and US. You don't know why? Because the last time it looked like this, it really did break. It really did break. But this is not the last time. And from the outside, the pattern looks the same. From the inside, everything is different. And I have seen enough of this to know the difference. Look here. Watch those dominoes become BlackRock, Fidelity, Stripe, JP Morgan. And they are not leaving, they are building right now, while everyone else runs. 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 CEO, $15 million under management. Called this a violent last bear market. No violence, no fraud, no collapse, just fear feeding on itself. Now, I want to know your opinion. I know everyone is afraid of what's happening today. And I want to know, do you think the market is dropping? Of course, today it's because of the strike, we know that. But let me know why you think the market is falling. It's because something really broke, or because everyone is scared, or everyone is following the 4-year cycle? Let me know in the chat. I want to know this. Don't just speculate that you are short, whatever. I want to know that. I want to know, why do you think the market is dropping? If it do not today. Today we know why it's dropping. Okay. I hope now you realize that I'm live and that this is not pre-recorded. What I want to know is, do you think it's dropping because something broke? Or do you think it's dropping because people are afraid? This is the only thing that I need to know. And then let me finish my what I prepared for you, and then we are going to look for some charts and what's happening, whatever, because I know we want charts. But first we need to understand what we are going right now, because there are a lot of people that are scared. And I want to show you this, okay? This is 2022 and 2026 side by side. No spin, no opinion, just the numbers. You need to understand where we are, okay? In 2022, Bitcoin dropped 77%. 77%. I know some of you are calling for, I think I saw 10K there. Whatever. We had 4 collapses. 4 𝗕, Celsius, 𝗕𝗟𝗢, FTX, real fraud, real stolen funds. 2026, 0. We don't have a single entity yet. Okay? Let's say yet. We never know. If you know, I'm not going to say it. I cannot say it. In 2022, we had billions in user money gone forever, right? But they're not gone. They know where they went, but whatever. And most of those people will never see a cent back. Some they did on FTX, they should have seen more, but whatever. But in 2026, 0 user funds lost. 0. You don't have this. In 2022, the system broke, exchanges went dark. You could not take out your money. You could not take it. You maybe weren't here, but I remember being not able to do a single transaction between one exchange to another because Solana broke, for example, or some exchanges were restricting withdrawals. This happened to me. I got a lot of rugs from 2022. If that happened to me right now, you don't have that. You don't have a single exchange going dark. Every ETF is working. Every custody solution is intact. Nothing broke. And you need to understand this. 2022, the market cap floor was 800 billion. 2026, 2.4 trillion. 3 times higher. 2022, no spot Bitcoins ETFs. They didn't exist. No product for big money. No regulated access. Now, for those that are saying that the ETF are selling, 93% of ETF holders kept their positions. They didn't sold. This is why I always say, data over opinions, over statements, over engagement. Go check this. Verify everything that I'm showing here today. There's always a big drama because of the ETFs. They sell today and they sell tomorrow. But when they buy it, it's not so engagement. There's no fear. Okay? There is no fear. There is no fear. But 93% of ETF holders, they didn't sold a single position. Now, here's what came out of this week. And almost nobody's covering it. Almost nobody's covering this. Bitcoin ETFs had 5 straight weeks of outflows. Almost $4 billion. Every major account tweeted this. Drama. Big drama. Like, they are selling, they are exiting. 93% hold it. This is why I said that sometimes X is not good for our mental health. They are called at the end of the big money in crypto. And then 3 days ago, it flipped. Flipped the switch. 500 million one day, $250 million the other day. Then more the day after. $1 billion in inflows in 3 days. Look, we lost 4 billions in 5 weeks. 4 billions in 5 weeks. We added $1 billion in 3 days. The 5-week streak is gone. The BlackRock ETF alone bought 4,300 Bitcoin in a single session. They now hold 60% of all Bitcoin in American ETFs in one fund. But if you go to X, a big drama. And this is not just BlackRock. CryptoQuant reported 2 days ago that Bitcoin spot demand turned positive for the first time since November. Not futures, not leverage, real spot buying. Real money coming. And the Coinbase premium flipped positive, for the first time since February. Especially since the February 6th crash that we know why it dropped. I told you several times on my shows. That means that the American big money on Coinbase is paying more than the rest of the world. There is a demand signal that you cannot fake. Okay? This is a demand signal. But this is not just crypto. Look at the real economy. ISM services came at 57.4, the highest since October 2024. This was yesterday. I told you this here on Banter Portugal. And I said it here also in 24/7. Above 50 means growth. The first one was above 52 and how important that is. I even built a presentation showing you why it was so meaning for the market. And I even wrote an article on X, if you follow me, I retweeted yesterday, why people saying that the PMI didn't matter was not being honest with you, because they weren't, and I'm a data guy. You can tell me all your opinion, that I cannot argue. But don't try to argue with me with data, because I will check the data. And I have this on X. Go read that article. Again, 57. This is deep into growth. Manufacturing just came back to expansion after 26 months of contraction. And I'm talking about this today because I said this in January. We need confirmation. We need the PMI from February to come above 50 to know it was not just related with the holidays on December. And we had a 57. Look, 26 months of shrinking. And it just flipped. Just flipped. Now think about what this means. The economy is expanding. Big money is buying. Spot demand just turned positive. And the price is 47% below the all-time high. Now I want to know, for those that are here as long as me, when was this combination ever existed? Let me know. When did we saw this before? We haven't. Bernstein research called this a crisis of confidence, not a crisis of technology. And also we have the 4-year believers thinking that the 4-year cycle is confirming, etc. If it was, which it isn't, but I'm not going to go on that detail today. Even K33 research has a structure right now. Pay attention to this. says the structure right now looks very similar to November 2022, near the absolute bottom. Again, the structure right now looks very similar to November 2022, near the absolute bottom. Okay? Now, I want to be careful here, because this is where most people say, so it's the bottom, buy everything. That's not what I'm saying. And again, I'm not on the bottom crew, okay? Nobody knows where the bottom is. And I've been here enough times to know that anybody who tells you the exact bottom is lying and works for the top two. What the data show is that this moment has signs that in the past appeared in the final stages of bear markets. Not the beginning, not the middle, the end. This is a pattern, not a promise, okay? What you do with this, it's your call, not my call. I'm just showing you the data, and that's it, okay? Again, compared to 2022, this is the late stage of 2022, and this is what we are seeing right now, okay? This is what we are seeing right now. Now, look at this. The radar shows the zone, 60,059 to be accurate, to 75,000. I call it the decision zone, not a bottom, not a bottom, not a buy signal, a zone where data lines up and where your next move matters. It's easy. Now let me show you what something that did not exist in 22 at all, and this might be the most important difference between then and now. In 2020, someone is saying, is Bitcoin crashing there hard? I'm going to stop what I'm doing. It's not crashing there. Look, just a few shots. I'll go to this, but just a little shot so that you can have your dopamine. So it dumped. I know it dumped here. Now it's trying to recover. We'll go back to the charts later. Okay, it's not 𝗕𝗟𝗡𝗵. Come on. This was 𝗕𝗟𝗡 here. Now it's not 𝗕𝗟𝗡. Okay, so getting back to what I was saying, and then I'll get back to you. I'm just doing this so that you know I'm not pre-recorded. So like I said, in 2022, crypto had no legal framework in the USA. Zero. The SEC was not writing the rules. They were filing lawsuits. There was no clarity on what was a security, what was a commodity, no stablecoin law, no market structure, just lawsuits, fear, and confusion. And who's been here since 2026 knows this. Since 2022, sorry, knows this, okay? In 2026, Clarity Act might get passed, and that's something that will change a lot of things. We know the deadline was 1 of March. They are discussing if it will be or not. There's some rumor on it. I don't want to call anyone out, but I don't believe the rumor that they said that they're not reaching an agreement. This being, everyone is questioning the source, so I'm not going to show it here for respect. It might be a wrong source or source, but let's see. But for the first time in the history of crypto, the United States government is building a legal framework that says to the industry, we want you here. We are writing the rules. So they can operate legally. Does this matter? And why does this matter? Because in 2022, big money was afraid to touch crypto. Not because of price, because of legal risk. And any day the SEC could decide your token was illegal. You don't remember this if you were not here, but this was the real fear. Even we as holders, we never know when the SEC was going to drop something about a token that we hold. And that fear kept trillions on the sideline. And now in 2026, that wall is coming down, piece by piece. And once those rules are in place, the companies that are already building, like I showed you, BlackRock, Fidelity, JP Morgan, Stripe, and a few more, they will not be the last. They will be the first of a wave that this market has never seen. Because for the first time, there is a legal path to enter. Now let me bring someone who manages more money than most of us will ever see. Matt Hougan, the Bitwise CEO, $15 billion under management. In January, he told CoinDesk, the fundamentals have never been this good. Let me show you his views in 4 parts. Or let me tell you his views in 4 parts. There is no villain Nobody stole anything. Nobody went bankrupt. This is because of the 10th of October. Some of you are asking on the chat. The market fell because everyone decided it was time to fall. For cycle believers. I believe. Not a collapse. Also, you see 75 to 100,000 the first half of this year and 2027 as the real breakout. And he says what is being built and what the price says are going in opposite directions. And I think we can all agree with this. Unless you are here just, I don't know, for something. And you don't study fundamentals. And usually that gap doesn't last. It never does. Honestly, I've seen the gap close twice now. And he also calls something really interesting, that Bitcoin was a teenage store of value. Not a baby, not an adult. Volatile, moody. Growing to something new. I never raised a teenager, but if you raise a teenager, maybe you know that the hard years are not the reason to give up. I never did, so I cannot speak about this here. And here's a number, and this is really curious because no one says this, because it doesn't sell, it's not fear. Wall Street is quietly passing around a model based on 26 months of ETF data. It puts Bitcoin fair value at 94,900. You have the number here. Currently, we are at 63,500. This should be live. You have it here. This is a 41% gap between where the money says it should be and where fear says it is. Gaps like that do not stay open. I already told you this. Usually, it doesn't stay open. Now let's watch this. RWA, over $21 billion in tokenization this year. This year. Agentic finance era. Open interest is below 260k BTC. It's the full flush. Cycle timing, 12 to 14 months. Lines up with 2018 and 2022. Every one of these says the same thing. Late stage. Not early, not middle late. And I've seen late stages before. I know what they feel. I really know. They feel exactly like this. Terrible, hopeless, silent, people claiming that we are going lower, that crypto is dead. The chat always screaming lower, lower, lower. Honestly, I think it's more manifestation than anything else. This is exactly where we are right now. Usually, I'm not saying it's the case here. I already told you this is a pattern, not a certainty. Maybe you can see some sort of a turn here. We know the bears sweated this week. So, yeah. This is data. Now, I just show you everything. The fear, the graveyard, the contagion, the anomaly, the evidence, the thesis, 7 views, nothing hidden, data. I did not hide that project, I did not hide the scandals, I did not hide the 667 million Coinbase loss, or the $4 billion in ETF outflows. I showed you the other side. The billion that came back in 3 days, the spot demand turning positive, the economy expanding, and the first legal framework for crypto in the US. And the biggest financial companies on the earth, not running, they are building. You don't see anyone scared. I will not tell you what to do. The most dangerous person in this space is the one who tells you what to buy when you are scared. That is not me. And that will never be me. Usually, I share what I'm doing, and if it works out for me, it should work for you. But I will tell you what I told myself every time I went through this. This. Look at the names on the bottom of your screen. BlackRock, Stripe, JP Morgan, Fidelity, Swift, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, Robinhood. We even had MoneyGram talking about blockchain this week. Those are not people on Twitter at 3 a.m. Those are the biggest financial companies on earth, and they are building in crypto right now. Not pulling out, they are building. So, let me know. Let me know what's your answer to this question. I already see some people saying they are buying, others saying that they are holding. Again, I'm not telling you to buy or sell anything. I will never say that to you. But yeah, I think it's the time that you see what we are, where we are right now with data. No fear. Data. Data. No fear. Data is always the most important part. And so I will never sell. I know fear sells, and I could sell fear. Maybe I'm not that big of a salesman, but I could sell fear really easier. So, guys, you want me to look at charts? I will show you charts, but you need to understand where we are right now, right? So we just have the Iran-Israel situation. Israel strike Iran, joint operations with Trump. Let me just show you this. I was expecting it to be tonight, not this night or this morning. So that's why I didn't add this to talk today. Now it's telling that it's pre-recorded. Tell me again. Tell me who is thinking that this is a pre-recorded. When you need to prove that you are alive, this is the AI error, 100%. When you need to prove that you are alive. So, guys, looking at the charts, first you need to understand what happened, and then if you follow me on X, you know what happened already. I always try to be updated, although I'm building something really cool. I expect to show you soon. So, yeah, let's see. This is what happened. Israel, Iran, there was an attack. The market started to react. I will not discuss any politics here. This is just what happened. And then Israel started to say it was a joint operation with the US. And then we have this tweet from Trump saying, it is true, it was a joint operation. And whatever reasons they found out, and I'm not here to tell you if it's right or wrong. That's not my stuff. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing. So, and I don't want that on the chat also. Okay, if I saw that on the chat, I'm going immediately to close the stream. I don't like wars. I don't care about the reasons. So I hope this ends soon, and that's it. But I think for humanity is not good, and I'm from the humanity side. But if it's right or wrong to do it, not my call. Okay, not my call, just me. Okay. But what I'm telling you is that Israel strike Iran, joint operation with US, and then this happened. Okay, this happened right here. We had this major drop to, I don't know, it was from 65,600 to 62,976. Now someone was calling this 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗙. I like the name, 𝗕𝗟𝗢𝗙. Guys, let's be honest. I don't think this was such a dump. You need to understand something. It's weakened. It's weakened. There's no liquidity. Only crypto is active right now. I don't think this was such a big dump like some of you are calling. But maybe I'm wrong. But I do not believe that. Okay, I don't think it was that big. It was a dump, true, not that big. Okay, but I respect your opinion. I think this was already priced in. We had the signs yesterday. We had a lot of things that were telling us this yesterday. I tweeted about that, if I'm not mistaken, and I think I did. And I think I did tweet about this. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I'm almost sure I did, but whatever. Follow me on X, and I'm sure I did. Said this was going to start this weekend. We had the signs that it was coming. So yeah, right now any TI could do here. It can be invalidated easily, like super easily. I can tell, look, maybe the worst is over, etc. Then Iran retaliates and we go lower. Okay, that's what can happen right now. But what I can tell you from my experience, that this drop was not as bad as I was expecting. Okay? Not as bad as I was expecting. I think it might be priced in. I'm not sure it is, but I think everyone was already expecting this to happen, especially since yesterday. Yesterday we saw it, all the signs. Okay? All the signs. Like someone is saying, for a few weeks they've been positioning 100%, and yesterday all the embassies in Israel were saying people to leave. They are non-essential personnel to leave. So the signs were here. Nobody here was surprised that this happened. I was surprised. I was expecting on a Saturday night, tonight, not this night. But yeah, what do you want me to tell you here? Honestly, I can look at the chart and I can tell, yeah, go long if you want to. This might be the end of the move. It's already priced in. And then Iran decides to strike and it hits something major, and then we do this. And then they retaliate, and then we go lower. And then you do this, and then you go lower. If you want to scalp, I can tell you along this. Because I was getting ready for this show, I saw this happening in real time along this. I'll open along. It was easy. Okay, if you want to scalp, yeah, take advantage of the volatility. I did long that. Okay, and then I close it before the show, and that's it. So if you want to be scalping the events this weekend, just be aware that, yeah, things might escalate, things might get worse, things might get better. We know the last time this lasted, I don't know, 2 days, 3 days, and everything went well. I don't think that the moves that were made for the Middle East from the US, like everything they placed it in their positioning, is just for something that will last 2-3 days. I might be wrong. But yeah, honestly, I can look at Ethereum if you want to. What I'm going to say here, it didn't touch support that I have marked here. It might come lower. Yeah, that it doesn't make much sense for me, and I might be wrong here, telling you, look, go long or go short on Ethereum, and then they announce that everything is okay, nothing else will happen, you get stopped on the short. Or you go long, think the worst is over, and then there's a major strike from Iran or a bigger escalation, you get stopped. Okay, trading, and I'm all about trading, I'm all about scalping, but trading is to know also when not to trade. Again, I'll be scalping if I'm on the shorts, and that's one thing, but I cannot tell you right now, look, I think this was the worst move. Impossible to tell that. It's impossible for me to tell that, okay? 100%. If you want to take a risk of a short, do it. Wait for Ethereum to test this resistance here and short it. Okay, if you want to try, I'm not going to take this trade if I'm not on the computer, but if you want to try, just look at this. Short here. On this area. For Ethereum, for example. You have a confluence here. Look. Try a short here. If you want to, for a scalp, okay? But right now, I won't be doing anything. Anything. Even with our this was an awesome short. Even with our scalp paradise, I would be careful here, okay? It's at support, but if things escalate, again, convex is very good for scalping for both ways, right? So right now it's at support, it might come lower. Look at where it usually reacts. It's here. This is where convex usually reacts. Right now it's on the middle of nowhere, so I won't touch it. Okay, this is the area where usually it reacts, and we had some deviations here. So yeah, just be careful. Okay, but right now I cannot tell. Look, I think the worst is over. It's impossible for me to tell you that. I have to be honest with you. I have to be honest with you. So right now, let's leave it here on Bitcoin. Yeah, but I'm scalping this. Of course, I'm scalping this. If you are a trader and you catch, again, I'm only do it because I caught the move live. Okay, so that's the reason why I did it, and I can tell you how I did. I was here. I was preparing the show, reviewing everything. I saw the move starting to happen. It's 6 a.m. It was 6 a.m. in Portugal. And I started to see this happen, and okay, then I'll go to 1 minute chart and I will look for a reversal on the 1 minute chart, and I'll take my shot, stop loss in place, and let it go. It was a nice scalp. Like, let me see. I was with a 35x leverage, so yeah, it was a very nice scalp. I should have done it on Bitfunded so I can get my challenge done. So let me check some comments here. Do we have likes? I cannot see the likes here. Do you have any likes on the stream? So it's all going to 0. Yes, that's the type of comments that I want. Particularly soon, I feel nothing. I haven't looked. Yeah. Where are you watching? I always like to know where people are watching. We know the feeling. I'm so used to this bullshit, but I'm not selling. you are used to. Yeah, it happens. Like, I already said this and I don't like to be repetitive. But the thing is, like, everyone likes to be that person that hold, I don't know, Bitcoin from $12 to $1,000 or 126, or hey, they are amazing, etc. Do you think that there was not drawdowns during that time? Honestly, do you think there was no drawdowns during that time? Because what I just showed you here, I'm not telling the bottom is in, I don't join that crew. You know that. What I'm telling you, what I tried to show you here today is that if we compare the data, right now, we are in the late stage of a bear market. If it's really a bear market, I know some of you want to call this a bear market, so I'm going to call it today. But we are in the late stage of a bear market. Compared to 2022. You have the audacity, I'll say like this, of some people saying that 2025 was a bear market with 4 all-time highs on Bitcoin. Right? I have this on X. People call a bear market, a new version of bear market with all-time highs. People are calling 2025 a bear market with all-time highs. So, yeah. Let me see the comments here. What are we call this crash? I don't know. Or name it whatever you want. The crashes on crypto is like when you see the a meteorite. I always say it for the first time. If you are the first one to see it, you can name it. Give it the name you want. Let me see. Not a big far as dump. We could see lower depending on the escalation. Exactly. That's why I'm being careful here with the charts. So let me see more. 4-hour support still holding. Look, if you go to the 4-hour chart, okay, and you know this has been my, if you follow me, you know this has always been my area of interest, and I was even expecting lower. I marked this for a long time. So if you go here, we touch the interest area, touch the main support, and we have buyers here. This is price action one-on-one. Okay. If you have a week like this here, it says that sellers try to drop the price lower and buyers step in and push it higher, right? Price action one-on-one. And yeah, right now it's holding. It even did, we can call it a higher low, and we have a higher high, and now we have a higher low. Does this mean something? Nah, it doesn't. Okay, because the macro today, it's a different macro. It's we're talking about some major escalation in the Middle East, so you need to be careful with that. If this support keeps holding with everything that's going, we can have the signals that it was priced in, everyone is expecting, and this was more like, I wasn't able to see the data if it was spot selling or not, but yeah, might have been longs closing. We don't know. Okay, we don't know that. Yes, you guys have an obsession with 40K. Honestly, that is starting to be an obsession. We are so late again to the dumps. So these conditions don't move the market as much in the past. Careful with that. We need to understand the retaliation, etc. I would be careful saying that, because this is honestly, and this is just my opinion, it feels different from the last time. And it feels different because of the escalation, not the escalation, because of all the things that are okay, that were moved to the Middle East. It's not the same thing. The last time we had, like, I think it was 2 planes or something like that flying from the US there. They did what they wanted to do and then they came back. Now we have a massive move from the US to the Middle East, and this is something that you should pay attention. Be careful. Again, scalping, paradise, swings, forget it. Okay. Everyone that I know, it's closing swing longs, sorry, not shorts. Of course, they're not closing shorts, they're closing swing longs, because they are scared that this might escalate and go lower, okay? And there's a lot of people doing that. They caught this move here, for example, they wanted to long the bottom, sorry. They wanted to long the bottom. Everyone always wants to long the bottom, so it's what it is. So they caught this long here, but then when the conflict started today, they decided to close. Okay, and that has a name. It's called being smart. It's called being smart. And I think now you need to be smart with your money. You want to scalp? Easy. Go to the 5-minute chart and you start looking for reversals, and you see, okay, Now I'm starting to see a support here. Should I long this? Should I short this? And you make a decision. Okay. Or you can even go to the 1 minute chart. This is what I did here. I think my entry is around this. It's when we reclaim this support, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a bit lower. When I see it was getting reclaimed, I longed it, and then I took advantage of the move. Then I started the stream, so I had to close it. And this is what you can do. Easy. You don't need an indicator to do this. You don't need anything to do this. You need price action one-on-one. You go here, and you see support, resistance. I have a range. I long here. I close the long here. It's easy. Okay? Super easy. Honestly, if you are a trader and you are not scalping these moves, unless you not got them, or you are being smart and not wanting to take risk. But if you want to scalp, and if you are like me who loves to scalp, I prefer scalps over swings. And after the 10 of October, I think everyone agrees with me. So, I think everyone agrees with me. So scalps over swings. There will be some major event that can kill your swings in no time. So be careful today. I think it's something that you should pay attention to the Middle East. Right? I used to say this a lot and people laugh, but I think it's true. You know more about, if you're not in the US, you know more about the US economy and more about the Middle East tension than you know about anything in your own country. Because you are a crypto investor. Because you are a crypto investor. Imagine how crazy that is. If I ask, how's the economy in your country? I don't know. How's the US? Oh, Powell and Trump. Major clash. But PMI is coming higher. And Powell needs to cut rates, but he won't do it because of Trump. It's politicized. And in your country, I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm 100% sure it's like this. So, yeah, be careful today. And just a final note, crypto recovered from every crash in its history. Everyone, okay? Minus 77, minus 84, and even minus 93%. Every single time, the people who stayed changed their lives. And every single time the people left said the same thing 1 year later. And usually are the people calling for lower, to be honest, are those that left too early. I knew it, I saw it, I just could not handle it. Usually, and I know from experience, usually, these are the ones that are always on the chat on X calling for lower because they sold and they cannot deal with that pain. Okay? From my side, I've been the one who stayed 3 times now. And 3 times people called me crazy. And those people called me crazy went quiet when the market came back. And I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to make sure you decide with your eyes open. Not because someone on the internet yelled at you to buy. And not because fear made the decision while your brain was offline. Have a plan. Know your numbers. Know what you believe and why. And do not let a few bad months destroy a thesis that took years to build. Easy. Fundamentals are still there. I don't know where I invested, but for me, they are still there. Easy. Okay? And next week, I will show you the data nobody's covering and who's buying behind the scenes, who's selling, and what March looks like from the inside. Today was just an X-ray. And next week is the treatment plan. We are getting full therapy sessions, full crypto therapy sessions every Saturday morning here on Banter channel. So subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. And if this helped you tonight, share it with one person. One person who is scared. Right? I'm stuck on today, sorry. Share it with one person. One person who's scared right now and about to do something they cannot take back. One share, that's all I ask. Same time, same place, protect your money, protect your head.